Right now, though, joining us, my good friend Steve Moore, the Trump economist in for the 2015-2016 campaign, the advisor to the president. All his policies have been working. He was also a nominee for the Federal Reserve, and he is joining us now. Steve, great to have you.
Hey, John, we missed you yesterday. You were supposed to be at the Treasury Department when we were talking about the great news on the economy, and I guess you weren't able to make it. But sorry, you missed a great day. We saw the president. By the way, he's in an incredibly positive mood. I never saw him so happy and ebullient, and this is not bringing him down. I think this is energizing him.
Yes, and look, you're right. I was supposed to be there. I got in from traveling overseas Monday night, like extremely late, and I just couldn't get there, so we did some of it on the phone. But the next time, obviously, I'll be there. Okay. Steve, in the midst of impeachment, you're going to get the Dow Jones is going to hit a new record. Normally, you get impeachment, right? The stock market crashes. What's up with that?
Well, I guess the stock market likes impeachment. No, I'm just joking, actually. I mean, I think what's going on is this, the news of the last 2 weeks. I mean, can you imagine a president having a better 2 weeks than Donald Trump has had? John, I mean, think about that. I mean, a week ago Friday, we got the biggest jobs report, that blockbuster jobs report, 300,000 jobs. Then on the following Tuesday, he announces he's got the U.S.-Canada-Mexico trade agreement with Nancy Pelosi. She'd been holding out for a year. And then on Thursday, he announces a blockbuster trade deal with China, which even I didn't think he'd be able to accomplish. And then Friday, we get as you just said, the all-time high on the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones. I mean, the news just keeps rolling in, so positive. Yesterday, we got a report that housing is looking really good. Manufacturing, which had been declining a little bit, is back on the rise. I mean, this is an economy that, ladies and gentlemen, you live in Virginia, you've got to admit this is about as good as it gets for the economy. I don't know how much Donald Trump credit he deserves. I think he deserves a lot of it, but he certainly deserves some of the credit.
It's an unbelievable day with this type of economy, this type of Dow Jones, and everybody is invested in some degree with 401ks or something.
Yep.
All of their equity is going up, and we're going to have impeachment. Hey, Steve, I've only got 5 minutes because I know your time is short, but you did an op-ed in the Washington Times called "A Cheer for the Trump Uranium Plan." And as you know, a lot of us were very upset when Russians were able to buy in and take over one of our big uranium production plants. Walk us down the path now.
Well, this is quite a scandal, actually. I mean, what's happened to our not just our domestic uranium, but all of our mining. You go back to the Reagan years, John. You live in Virginia. Virginia is a mining state. Virginia and the United States were the leading mining areas of the world. We are a country that's richly endowed with resources, everything from coal to silver to gold to precious metals to uranium. And what happened starting about 20 years ago is the left just started closing down mining activity in the United States. We see this in Virginia with what's happened to coal mining and West Virginia. It's just a tragic thing. And so now, you're not going to believe this, John. Today, we used to produce massive amounts of uranium, which obviously is needed for nuclear power plants and nuclear energy and our nuclear arsenal. Today, we import 90% of our uranium. And, John, do you know what country we get most of our uranium from?
Where?
Guess.
Russia.
Russia. Can you believe that? I mean, how stupid is this? I mean, do you think that Vladimir Putin is a reliable source of uranium?
Unbelievable.
It's incredible. And Trump finally, thank God we got a president who says we can't let Russia do on our minerals and metals what OPEC did to us in oil 30 years ago. So we are now going to produce uranium in the United States. Thank you, Donald Trump. We're going to start mining it. We're going to build a stockpile. So we're not, dependent on countries like Russia, China, and Uzbekistan.
Now, Steve, is the president able to do that with an executive order? I mean, because we've had so many regulations dealing with uranium mining. Like, how does he actually get this started? And what companies are involved in it, and how do they make money at it?
Well, we're down to only like 500 uranium miners left in this country. We should have 5,000. And these are states like Utah and Wyoming and Colorado and states like that. By the way, we have so many. We have $50 trillion, John. $50 trillion of mineral resources in this country. We should be mining them. And by the way, the government can collect royalties and reduce our national debt. So, we're going to. Donald Trump has made a priority of rebuilding our domestic production of uranium. We're going to build a stockpile so the military needs it if in case of an emergency. And so, kudos to Donald Trump for taking this on because, as you just mentioned, we saw what Obama did with Uranium One. He sold our uranium.
He did sell it, and Hillary Clinton approved it. If we're able to go forward with this, Steve, as you outlined in your op-ed, can you give our audience look, there's the supply chain end of it, right? No question about it, just like steel and aluminum. You want to bring your supply chain back to the United States so you control your own destiny and you're not dependent on China for steel if you need it. Let's get to the uranium. I get the supply chain piece of it. What about the economic implications? You mentioned in your op-ed, it could spur $1.5 billion of economic activity. How?
And let me just correct myself. I made a mistake, John. So for the record, I apologize. We have $8 trillion of oil and gas and coal. We have $5 trillion of these precious metals and resources like copper and uranium. So it's $5 trillion for that, $50 trillion for the energy. Just imagine what this would mean for the American economy if we start drilling for this. And by the way, Trump is all in on the drilling. And then we produce, more of we reopen our mines. I'll give you one example of how dysfunctional it is, John. In most countries like Australia and Canada, it takes about 5 years to get the permits to build a mine. In the United States, it takes 10 to 15 years. 10 to 15 years to open up a mine.
Mm-hmm. It's far time that we do this, Steve, and I think you're right on it. This is one of these things where it's just not a sexy issue to talk about. There's a lot other fun things. But look, it's critical.
It's good
obviously.
John. It's good for our economy, and it's necessary. The Defense Department said in this report they put out, this is critical for our national security. So Trump is, killing two birds with one stone here. He's increasing our national security and creating thousands of new mining jobs all over the country. It's awesome.
All right, Steve Moore, you're on it once again, my man. I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, Steve. Thanks for being on top of this uranium opportunity for us, and let's definitely get this thing started. And Steve, have a very Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you soon, and a happy holiday.